All right, Patrick, outside of like a 2-year window, 2014, 15, whenever your team is struggling, the magic elixir is the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, it's amazing. They popped up. They were in two straight World Series. They won the second one, and they turned around and they got a little old and they let everybody go. I, you know, that's an we worry about the poll ads and not being committed to our franchise. How about them? What they got money? What's the deal? Why don't they keep their players? Why did they decide they had to get rid of everybody?
Did they
Uh,
even? Here's the weird thing: they won a World Series. I'm not even sure they had great players. They had
they had a
Alex
few, but yeah,
Gordon
I
was
mean, they
okay, and Hosmer.
obviously not paying Hosmer was a great idea, right? So I
Yeah,
mean, they've had some, they didn't keep okay, but you got to keep your pitching, right? That's how they had very good pitching. They're cheap poll ads. Whoever I don't even know who owns them, but whoever they are, they're cheap. They're the cheap whatever. So
would you rather have? Let's go back to 2002. So when the Twins had their resurgence, basically, or let's say 2001, because that's when the Twins
yeah,
really had their
yeah, right.
resurgence.
They were 57-33 at the All Star break that
Yep.
team.
So since 2001, the Royals have lost 87 or more games 14 times. They've made the playoffs twice, but both were trips to the World Series, including one World Series win. So they basically had the 2 or 3 years where they went to the playoffs twice, and they've been garbage the other, call it,
Mm-hmm.
18 years.
Yes,
Or would you rather have a Twins team that's been
eight
mostly
division
better and
eight division titles, I believe that would be if you count the mini season. Terrible. You got the scarlet letter of 18 straight playoff losses. But I go back to when a baseball season was not, the big playoffs. I've told you this. In the '60s, I go back to, hey, we had a good year. We finished third. It was
yeah,
pretty good. We finished 5 games behind the Yankees. My God, 1962, we were only 5 games behind the Yankees and finished second. We were happy as clams. So I go back to, did they make the season interesting? And I would rather be the Twins than the Royals having won a World Series and being irrelevant virtually every other, having that 2 year period. That to me is, we certainly, remember the World Series around here 30 years later better than anybody. But I, to me, as a guy, I think for the people who baseball is now their third or fourth sport, right? You got football, and then you got football, and then you got more football, and then you got the NBA.
yeah.
Uh, they would say, no, all I wanted, they only take an interest in baseball when if the team makes it to the postseason. But for me, an old guy who's used to a 162 game season and trying to stay engaged, I would take the Twins over the Royals, having had two good had years. But that's probably generational more than anything.
Keep in mind too, those Royals teams, at least in 2015, they went all in on Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist, and like went all in at the trade deadline and basically
Yes,
mortgaged a lot of their future to get those two dudes. Now it paid off, right? They got their championship, but then also it
yes,
meant once Moustakas got older, once Kendrys Morales hit like 25 bombs for them out of the complete blue that season too. Once all
yes.
those old guys went on, and then all their prospects were gone from those trades, they went right back to being the Royals. But
And
I would take it.
we'll never forgive them for making Kendrys Morales an interesting. Hey, remember what he did for the Royals? When was he here? 60
Oh
14, I
man,
think.
yeah. I think it was
14.
before that. Yeah,
at the end of his career. Was he before he went to Kansas City? So he hit those
Yes.
home runs. He was terrible here,
yeah,
and then
Yes.
went to Kansas City and hit the home run. So
yeah.
okay,
Someone
I
actually,
that
we got an email from someone, I think, for our feedback app or our app feedback section. Someone compared Miranda to Kendrys Morales, where like he's gonna hit, but he's gonna have to borrow someone's glove, for the other half innings.
you know what? I hated him at first base. He drove me nuts. But the last 2 or 3 times he's been over there, he hasn't hurt him, and he actually turned a double play the other day. That was pretty made a pretty good play. The fact that he spent all last year in St. Paul and never played an inning over there, these morons never had him go over there and play an inning. Probably we should give him some slack on that. But they were right about him as a hitter, man. Once he started swinging the bat instead of taking strike one, and then end up check swinging on a breaking ball. And he was Buxton. He was the young Buxton when he first came up, but it didn't take him long to adjust. He can hit. And do you think that seeing him for a good month while Miguel recovered from that first surgery, told him, okay, that's it. We're not worried about if Miguel's going to come back here at all. It's over for Miguel. We want a designated hitter / guy who can actually make contact, and he's certainly as he is right now. He's only 25, right? 25, yeah. 24, 25. As he is right now, he's obviously an upgrade on poor old Miguel, who was done. But it was interesting of course, Molly walking off the mound last night. What do we pronounce it? Molly or Mally?
Mally.
Mally.
Yeah. Do we have an update on that? He had a bum shoulder before they traded for him.
I overlooked that, but
so do they all the time.
So yeah, they shoulder fatigue. He's going. They're saying they're going to look at it. They're going to MRI it, but there's nothing. But he won't. They're going to DL him and give him 15 days to recover, just like Cincinnati did. So I say Louis Varlin, the kid from North St. Paul. Right. First game in St. Paul, blew him away. He was throwing 99. He was their minor league pitcher of the year last year. He comes from the great Varlin gang up there in North St. Paul, and he's got good stuff. And let's, instead of bringing back Aaron Sanchez or somebody like that to fill in the start, let's take a look at Louis for 2 starts. Maybe he got something for the stretch. Let's see.
Well, they also this isn't imminent, but they also just promoted Simeon Woods Richardson to AAA, so he's knocking on the door now too.
But they promoted Louis before him, like 2 weeks ago. I think he's only made 1 start in St. Paul, right? He's probably due tonight. But he had 1 start in St. Paul with six scoreless, bunch of strike. I think 5 or 6 scoreless, bunch of strikeouts. What's interesting over there last night, Balazovic, 4 scoreless innings. Talk about patience. That guy's been terrible.
Yeah.
He had one reason Rocco said is he had a bad knee and it must have screwed up his delivery or something. But 3 years ago, he was going to be the man. And they made poor Toby Gardner send him out there every 5-6 days, and he was terrible. Last night he pitched 4 scoreless innings, so maybe patience has paid off. But
he was there. I think he was their number 1 pitching prospect according to some of the rankings for at least a year or two, a couple of years ago.
Going back to the Royals, when it's really a bad idea to stink in baseball? When the home team has when the football team has Patrick Mahomes playing quarterback.
Yeah, it's tough.
Right?
It's tough.
I mean, you're always here, right? Although I remember being there for the, when they were really good the first time and the Chiefs were nothing and the Kansas City owned the town when they had George and everybody. But you're usually down here and they're up here. Now it's like a different planet, right? Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs, you got the stadium right next door to each other, but they're 2 different worlds, baby.
Well, I feel like Kansas City, it's kind of a road trip destination for visiting fans, almost more so than home fans now, right? Because it's centrally located.
It was a lot. There was a lot of that in the 2000, the first before they went out to Target Field, the first decade. From 2001 to 2010, 9, and a lot of Twins fans went down there when they had good. You'd go down there, and my son and I did that one day. We went to Kansas City and then St. Louis, and that was when it was a mere 104 in St. Louis on a Saturday afternoon when they played there. Remember that game? It was unbelievable. But It was fun when when they were in the World Series with St. Louis, and they're the two. We drove between the cities for that World Series. I remember we stopped at. I was with who was I with? Lennox Rollins, I think, from Winston-Salem was covered that series, or Wicker, and we stopped at the halfway point between St. Louis and Kansas City, this little town, High Point or something, to see whether they were Royals fans or Cardinals fans, and they were more Cardinals fans because of tradition and everything. But
Okay.
it was kind of fun. Yeah.
Hey, what did you make of? So Joe Schmidt from Channel 5 just kind of lobbed a little softball at Sonny Gray the other day and said, "Hey, how's your first season going with the Twins?" And and he kind of asked him about pitching deeper in the ball games or something. And Sonny Gray was very measured with his words, but very clearly not happy with getting pulled from games an inning or two earlier than he would like. He hasn't thrown 100. He's never been like 100 pitch on a regular basis guy, but he hasn't thrown 100 pitches all year so far.
I hope I didn't start a feud with our guy Doe yesterday.
I think you did.
I think you did.
I don't know if I didn't want to start a feud, but I did find it interesting that every time a opposing pitcher went through the batters the third time and wet himself, as I said, Doe would celebrate this by saying, "For all Doe, so." He was basically defending Rocco for pulling these guys out, but in a celebratory way. So yesterday, the left-hander from Kansas City, I looked at it. He gave up all the runs early, right? And so I looked it up, and the first 2 times through the order, the Twins were 5 for 17 and scored 4 runs and blah, blah, blah. And then
he really battled his tail off to stay in that game.
Then the third time through the order, they were 0 for 7. They batted 0. So I put that out there. I didn't make any comment, but then I put on top of it, I said, "Please retweet Doe, blah, blah." And then and then Doe responded, "Yes, but it was a different thing because last time Joe Ryan was in that situation. In other words, if you're losing, you let him keep pitching, right?"
Yeah,
was what he was saying. But of course, then I had to just respond that I have noticed that you have tried to subtly make Rocco a hero every time a starting pitcher from the other team doesn't do well in the third. So,
well, and this is
I don't think it's a feud. I'm just
no, it's a feud. I think it's a feud.
I like the guy, but I just wanted to point out that it's crap that every time somebody, you can have all the stats they have now about the third time through the order are inflated by the fact that it's old information. They don't face him the third time anymore, right?
Well, they don't. I think there's so much to unpack here. So let's take Sonny Gray, for instance. Sonny Gray in his career is actually just as good, maybe a little bit worse, but basically just as good third time through the order as second time through the order. The OPS is basically for a 10-year sample size.
Yes.
This year it's bad, but I think some of it is he's only done it maybe 3 or 4 times where they let him really go deep into the third time through the order. He's faced 50 batters.
Maybe the first couple of hitters the third time, but not 9 of them, right?
He's faced 50 hitters the third time through the order all season. So it's not happening very often. So is there some of it is for 100 years, guys? Well, I mean, you want to go back even further. I mean, way back in the day, not only were they facing lineups a second, third, a fourth time through the order, then they'd pitch the second game of a doubleheader, and that's that's 100 years ago. But I don't think the answer can just be, well, we're just never going to have starters go third time through the year. Well, then you better have a much better bullpen than the Twins have if you want to make that work.
Because I ranted Monday, Dylan Bundy cruises through 5 innings, and then they hook him with 68 pitches or something. It's the Angels. You do not give a bleep who's facing the Angels in the third time through the order. And if this guy's throwing this good, as long as he doesn't throw something that Ohtani can reach, you're not going to get hurt. They stink. You gotta take into account who you're facing the third time through the order. And these guys don't do that. And that's, this is pretty funny. I was doing that Tovar thing I did about looking for the tape of his of his when he played all 9 positions, and we ended up out in this old building and out by the old WCCO transmitter. That this old hall, you could do one of those teen movies that they do the ads about, with the killers. There could be killers in this building.
Yeah.
But Andrew Halverson, who's the Twins director of broadcasting and really good guy, really involved, and he told me they found these reel-to-reel, these old reel-to-reels, 25 years of WCCO AM reel-to-reels, where they can find baseball games in there. And he decided to look up when Jim Cott one year threw 173 pitches in a 12-inning game. So he decided to have the guy look up what was said when Cott went out for the 12th with having thrown 160 pitches. And what was said was, Herb said, Cott's back out for the 12th.
Yep.
And Herb counted pitches.
Yeah.
Herb was the guy I went to and asked how many pitches, because we didn't count pitches, but Herb always counted pitches, but he didn't think anything of it. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the way to go, but it's I thought that was hilarious. Oh, it wasn't like, my God, they're sending him back out for the 12th. It was Cott's back out for the 12th.
Yes, there's got to be a little nuance in here somewhere.
Yes,
if you're facing the
gotta be.
Yankees, all right, I don't want Aaron Judge facing Sonny Gray a third time, maybe.
Yes, yeah, maybe.
If it's
that's
the
true.
7th hitter in the Angels lineup, I think you'll be okay.
Speaking of the Yankees, they were on the cusp of losing 11 out of 13 last night.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the end of it. That game had to take 9 hours. They must have had a rain delay or something. And the Chapman's terrible. He gives up a bases emptying double, top of the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom of the 10th, they got some Tampa's down to some left-hander. He fills up the bases, and Donaldson hits a pop-up to right field, and it's a whole grand slam home run, and he's a hero. And he knew it was out. He flipped his bat, even though it was like 15 feet inside the line, and it just landed in that porch. But I'm not even sure it's a home run in the porch at the target field, but it was a grand slam. So everything's right with the world with the Yankees. So.
He became the 3rd Yankee hitter in history to hit a walk-off grand slam when trailing by 3 runs. Jason Giambi in 2002 did it, and Babe Ruth in 1925 did it.
When you say Yankee history, you're talking 1901. So that's some serious history. Yes, and I'm sure he took his proper bows, because he's been terrible.
He's been pretty bad.
He's hitting 220 or something like that. You'd much rather Urshel is a better player than him.
Yeah.
Pat, there's a great account called Would It Dong on Twitter, and basically it's an automated tweet where when any player hits a home run, they measure if it would be a home run where it landed in other ballparks.
Okay.
So because I saw the thing too, that I was watching the home run, and I was like, oh, would that even be a home run at the majority of ballparks? And that ball where it landed would have been a home run in 17 out of 30 parks, actually.
Yeah, because
it is that short right side.
Fair by 12, 15 feet, maybe something like that. So it was in the corner, but it wasn't like bat flip time at at most ballparks. It wasn't, yay, what a hero I am. But he knew it was a home run 1 second after he hit it. Because I was watching, and we didn't see the trajectory of the ball.
Right.
And I said, I'm wondering if, Yankee Stadium, and I'm wondering, he didn't look like he got it, and then he flips the bat, and I said, what the hell? It looked like an early flip to me, but it was.
It is kind of amazing too, though. They haven't, hopefully we can all send flowers to Yankees fans here for what I'm about to say, but they haven't won a World Series since 2009. Is this the longest stretch?
No, and they haven't been in it since 2009.
That's got to be the longest stretch.
Yeah, it is.
Or no, maybe not. 96.
No, well, 2000. The 2010s were the first decade since the 1920s that they hadn't been in the World Series since the Babe Ruth trade.
So when in the 80s did they go? Must have been early 80s.
It was. I'm sure it was. Maybe it was only the second. Maybe the 80s were. Was that when was the Horace Clark era that they call that? That was in the mid 60s. That started after they beat us, but they went in the 70s. They must have won sometime. Oh, 81. They were in 81 against the Dodgers.
Okay.
And then
I'm
the
just looking
strike
this up.
year, they won the first two and lost the last four. And George was crazed during that World Series. Everybody had to. That's when George, that World Series, that's the first one I covered, and that was when George showed up at the ballpark with these black eyes, like out in L.A. and he claimed that it was that these people were bad mouthing New York on the elevator, and he defended at the Wilshire Hotel, and he was defending New York, and he got in a fight with these guys, and that's how he got it. It wasn't being drunk or something. That was his day. He was fighting for the pride of New York in the elevator. And Lee Montville from the Boston Globe, who was a fantastic columnist in his day, wrote the column about how he and George were in the elevator. And on the second floor, they kicked the crap out of a motorcycle gang. And on the third floor, they kicked the crap out of some Nazis. And on the fourth floor, they beat up all these guys. And then the fight was on the sixth floor. And he said they beat somebody. And he said, then I got out of the elevator. I don't know what happened on the sixth floor or something like that. It was a great. I kept that column for about 20 years. I don't know where it went, but
isn't it amazing? Steinbrenner used to fire managers left and right. Just the pressure of being a Yankees manager. I was just looking up. So Aaron Boone, this is Boone's 5th season.
Yes,
so he's had 100 wins, 103 wins. Then there was the pandemic year where they went 33-27. They went to the playoffs. 92 wins, and now they're going to win 100 games again. And so he's going to have 300 win seasons in 5 years, make the playoffs every year, and he's just on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, they're all managed. Top 5 all-time post-game quote: Bob Lemon, managing the Yankees. He was managing the Yankees, and then they announced Martin was coming back in a year and a half when we were, that they fired Billy, and everybody was upset. So they put Lemon in the job, and they told him in a year and a half he was going to get replaced by Billy, And Lemon, sometime in that year when he was managing, I was down talking to him after the game, and I said, "What's it like managing in New York?" He says, "In New York, a fart becomes an explosion."
Yep. That's so true. The only way ESPN's morning shows on TV will cover baseball is if the Yankees are melting down.
Yeah, right. It is unbelievable. It is fantastic. Those the ESPN general interest shows. How what do we think the Tom Brady thing is? What do we think this mysterious
personal issues?
Yeah.
Huh? Personal issues? Is it a health issue? Is it a kid
he's
issue?
Old. He's old. Maybe he's getting his prostate checked. He's 45. He shouldn't be yet, but who knows?
So it's been 11 days. He's just been away from. He's got these crappy offensive linemen now too.
Yeah.
This feels like a Brett Favre 2010 situation, ready to
right,
pop.
doesn't it? He came back, didn't really want to,
So thought he wanted to, but I mean, he can just step into that Fox contract anytime he wants. So, if it's about money at this point, I think he's going to make more as a Fox analyst than a football player.
Yeah. Hey, is Judd doing a tape review on the scrimmages out there or not?
Judd's. He's got two different college rule notebooks, and we'll get the full review on Purple Daily.
He's into it. All righty, gentlemen.
All right, Pat. We'll talk tomorrow, man. All right.
Tomorrow. We will talk tomorrow. See you later.
All right. That's wrapping with Reusse here on Mackey and Judd, presented by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been around for over 100 years, helping businesses maximize their level of success through risk management tools and resources. If you have a business and you feel like there's another level to your game and you're just not reaching it, or you've got some risks or things on the horizon that you want to fend off, Federated is here to help you. Federatedinsurance.com, or it's our business to protect yours.